Hey, bienvenido a mi gente. How's everybody doing today? I decided to give you mi historia, my story. You know, it's a long way, it's a long route here, but you know, it finally happened for me, and now, you know, moving to Miami. Now I'm going to pick up my family as we speak, move them down. You know, everything, a lot of good things are happening. I'm happy to share that, and I know I owe a lot of people a lot of explanation to where I've been, what happened. It's been, you know, almost 20 years. I just disappeared and never continued on with my music and kind of just went into a different world. And I did. There's a lot of reasons for that shit, man. And so I kind of want to air myself out and let people know, you know, why and how this shit happened. You know, prison time and marriages, divorces, kids, and fucked up shit happens. It's just the way it is, and you just try to, you go forward. But man, as long as you go forward, it doesn't matter where you're gonna end up. You know, it doesn't matter when, but you're gonna end up where you want to go. It's just how bad you want to get there, man. And so it was a long road. I want to share this shit with you guys, man. You know, agradezco tu tiempo, como siempre. I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful to have you, and you know, I promised to do a lot of different shit. It took a long time to get here, but now I ain't going nowhere. Aquí estoy, brother, hermana. All right, man. So, okay, mi historia. Look it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is El DJ Malo, Malico. El Malo, El DJ Malo makes Malico, DJ Malo, Malo Man. Man, there's so many of them back in the day when I was young in high school, man. And since high school, you know, obviously I did promotions and I did teen dances and teen clubs. I was always a hustler. I was always into making money. And so being young and hungry and, you know, had no direction, I just did whatever was the other people were doing. And I made a lot of bad decisions, a lot of bad mistakes. But then when I got into the DJing and promoting, you know, it was pretty nice. It's got to be something that was I could stick myself to and commit myself to. Because when you're young, it's very hard to commit to anything. You're just learning and experiencing. And, you know, I got sent away right before high school because they didn't, you know, they knew, or at least they thought they knew who I was, and that I would end up basically, you know, either in prison or dead, you know, because of the neighborhood that we lived in. It was just, that's how it was, and that's the way it was. You just, unfortunately, it was rough. Chicago was rough, man. In Humboldt Park, Chicago. And so I went to high school and it didn't work out. In Albuquerque, New Mexico, California, none of that shit worked out. They weren't gonna have my ass there. I guess I was too wild. So, with that being said, I ended up back in Chicago, Schurz High School, DJing. And you know, I gotta share this with you because I gotta share the good and the bad. It just makes me think back in the day when I used to DJ and I used to do concerts and dances and promotions. And as a sophomore, that's right, I was a sophomore at Schurz High School. I got to, there was a competition. There was a bunch of DJs auditioning for the high school prom, my second year. And I won. Malo Man. Hell yeah, I was very, very impressed. I was happy walking around there, short as fuck, but my head was bigger than everybody. I was a shit back then. And so, all set up. My cousin was the DJ, Jose Slick Scott, Chicago's Best Sounds. They were more experienced. They did sounding, lighting. So I mean, I didn't have none of that shit for myself, but they were the ones who provided sound and lighting for all the events that I did. And so we get there, set all up. First of all, they're late, so now I'm looking like a dickhead there with late music and shit at the prom. Everybody's looking at me like, what the fuck? Who's the fuck is this? You know, it's supposed to be my night to shine, and so they're late. Fuck. And so they're late. Not even a half hour later, man, the woofers blew. Now it's only tweeters. I don't know if you know what tweeters are. They're only the high part. No bass, bottoms. They had no other speakers. It's 10 o'clock. They're already late. It was such a nightmare. Prom shut down because of me. I did not want to go to school that following Monday. It was such an embarrassment. I But you know, what can you do? That's the shit that happens, and you live with it. No, nobody ever failed to let me remember that shit. Whatever. So, esas son las cosas. You know, these are the things that you know, no tiene que hacer, y no tan fácil. It ain't easy, man. You know, you have to. If you don't give it a try and shit, you don't do things, you're not gonna go nowhere. So that was, you know, for me, that was my way of getting into the music business. You know, as a kid, I saw my cousin in the music business, you know, Jose Slick Scott, and I was at the California at the time, and I wanted to be a DJ. I wanted in. And so what I started to do was I was working. Let's back up in high school. I was in California working and collecting all the coins out of the machines for the sodas. So I started buying equipment, and I started stealing money. I'm not gonna say what school. Stealing money from there, $10 a day. I would take $10 in quarters, and I'll save it all up. And I bought a mixer, then I bought a turntable, then I bought another mismatch turntable. Started buying records and all the connections, and I took all that shit back to Chicago with me. And man, I hit the streets there running. No experience. But you know what? People believe you if you put on a good show and they like it. They'll follow through. They'll follow you. That's all I could do. And that's what we did. And so when I got to Chicago, and that failure of a dance, my cousin and Chicago's Best Sounds came in and fucked it all up. You know, that just gave me more animo. You know, it gave me more ammunition, more determination, drive to make shit happen, you know, and I wasn't gonna stop, man. I mean, that was just like the beginning. It stopped me at that moment, at that time. It made me feel like shit, and I remember DJ nonstop. It was always a competition, that motherfucker, man. He always seemed to find the better girls, the prettier girls, I should say. You know, he got DJ for DMX, DJ for K7 back in the day. I mean, the guy he was hooked up, man. Him and his father, good people. Don't get me wrong, man. I admired him in a sense, but I envied him in a way because he had everything that I wanted, you know. So good for him. Good for him. Nothing against him. But anyway, so I'm still here. You know, I'm here now. A lot of guys from Chicago wonder what the fuck happened to this guy. Just dropped off the stage. The reality is, man, look, man, I started doing promotions, and again, there's a lot of shit to talk about. We'll talk about that later. That's a lot to get into right there. So, you know, getting this just kind of give you a little bit of background of my story and how I got to where I am now, and the route it took to get here. So, you know, please, we will take a little bit of detours here and there. Forgive me, man, I'm human, but this is how the story and how shit happens in my mind and how it works out, and so that's how I'm going to share it and explain it to you. All right, so, you know, after the party, after the dance, the prom, and the embarrassment, you know, I had to stay in high school, obviously, at the moment, being a sophomore. And so I went back, and I decided, you know, hey, you know what? I'm not going to let this shit stop me. I'm going to exceed, and I'm never going to give up. All right, so that's all I'm going to say about that in this chapter here, man. You know, chapter 1, basically, intro chapter. You know, I got a lot of shit that happened, man. I'm not too proud of everything, man, but I am proud of some of the things. And you know what? You know, God is great, man. And, you know, it took me a long time to realize that. And I ain't gonna lie and bullshit you. You know, you have so many doors slam on your face that you think that, man, you think everything's against you. And it really isn't. And a lot of times you can do what the fuck you want. You just have to change yourself. And it just starts with changing your mind frame. That's we're gonna get into that later. That's part of the story, but it's that simple, man. I grew up in hostility. I grew up in Humboldt Park, where, man, I hated motherfuckers, man. I hated my own people, Puerto Rican motherfuckers. How? Why? That's who I live with. They all motherfucking stole. They all motherfucking were shiesty. When you live in the hood, it's either kill or be killed, you know. You gotta struggle. It's just the way it is. And sometimes you gotta learn how to live with the wolves and exist with them. And that's what I had to do. And I'm still here, thank God. I'm El DJ Marlo, man. This is chapter 1. I'm gonna wrap it up right now, man. Thank you guys for checking me out, man. Please follow and subscribe. I want to do a lot of different shit, man. I don't want to just do like every other musician. I've been in the music business you know, for a long time, but I never took it as a business. I always took it as I did it for fun. But I really enjoy it. I think it's about time I make money out of it, you know, have some fun with it. And I'm gonna bring you a lot of good shit, man. And I love to hear what you got to throw at me, because I know there's a lot of you motherfuckers out there like me that just never really put in your whole passion. Always put your foot halfway in, you know. You put one step in and not the other. You got to do the whole thing, people. The whole thing. If you don't do the whole thing, you're gonna be exactly where you're at, half-ass, halfway there, almost there. Now you got to do it fully. Commit yourself to doing it if you want to exceed, man. Pero así son las cosas. Hablamos en el próximo. We're going to talk to you on the next chapter 2, and we'll go from there about, you know, what Chicago life was for me, and, you know, growing up there and how that shit was. All right. We'll see you on chapter number 2.